Me today virtually, since we're both quarantined, you at the office and me in my living room here. So thanks for meeting with me. I think that we can maybe answer some questions that buyers and sellers might be having about, what does the real estate market look like under a quarantine? Can we even still help them? Can they still buy and sell property? What can we do to alleviate any concerns or questions? Or I'll just go ahead and use the big F word, the fears that they might be having right now, especially if they're in progress, if their listing is active or pending, if a buyer is actively seeking a property. So I appreciate you being able to bring your years of experience. And I feel like I make the number up every time I talk to somebody about you. So officially, like on the record, say, how long have you been in the mortgage industry?
I've been in a long time. We'll say in this capacity, 12 years. I've been doing lending I made it through the 2007-2008 financial crisis, but I was in a different kind of lending at that point. But so 18 years unofficially, 12 years officially in this capacity.
Okay, well then I was right on, because I tell people like 15 years, maybe 16 years.
Yeah,
I'm not wrong.
We lose track. It's been so long, but no, it's good. It's exciting, and it's still fun and fresh every day.
Good. Well, awesome. Okay. Question number 1. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right. Basic. Am I still able to purchase and close on a home right now? I think that'd be a you question.
Yeah, absolutely. For residential financing or even investment property financing up to 4-family, I don't want to say it's a business as usual, because there are a lot of precautions and changes that we're working with right now, but it's almost business as usual. The guidelines haven't changed. As long as you're still employed, as long as your down payment hasn't gone away with the stock market or anything like that, well, we can still qualify you. The only thing I'm putting out there as feelers for potential buyers or those offering a contract right now is if you can get through inspection periods, we can still honor normal turn times of 30-ish days. Okay. If we're taking a while to get through inspections, the only wild card is appraisers are swamped right now. And appraisals are taking a little bit longer than usual. So where we in the past had looked at 7 to 10 days, a lot of times we're looking at 2 to 3 weeks, so 14 to 20 days, give or take. So that's a little bit of a longer process. So maybe we're seeing more 45-day contracts instead of 30 right now, but we're still able to accommodate that. So other than that, business as usual on residential lending. There's some other lending that's being more affected, but for those buying a house, especially an owner-occupied house, that's going to be their primary residence. We're good to go.
Okay, well, that's good. But that actually leads me to a little side question that I just thought about based on that question. What if, with so many people kind of, I don't want to say losing their job, because I don't feel like anyone's lost their job. Like no one just can go to work right now for a majority of the country, specifically with us here in Cincinnati, with us being on that quarantine lockdown. What are we doing as far as employment verification is concerned? Don't you guys typically do that just before we close?
We do, and it's typically 15 days before close that we need to verify that you're employed. Now, they've expanded those guidelines a little bit, or maybe I should say tighten the guidelines a little bit. They want us to verify you're still employed within 5 days of closing. We are seeing a large percentage of the population still able to work. They're just not able to go into work. So they're still receiving paychecks. They're still receiving that now. For more of our service level employees that are maybe hourly, or you actually have to go in, and those that aren't working right now, that could impact the closing right now. It might need to be delayed until they're able to go back to work.
Wow.
So that's something that we're still mulling through the weeds, that we don't have all the answers on that. But if we call to find out employment verification and they say not working or not working currently, that could throw a wrench into the home buying process, which at the same time, that might not be good to proceed with a huge purchase at that point until you have good financial settings. So that's a little bit of the unknown. For a large percentage of the buyers that we're seeing, that I don't want to say they're unaffected, they're just affected differently. They're changing how they're working rather than not working at all.
Gotcha. That makes sense. All right. That's a great that's a great answer. Thanks for following that up. All right. All right. So I think you actually just answered this, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it just to make sure that we definitely did. Geoff, how long will it take for my loan to be approved so I can close? So it sounds like you already.
So from start to finish, let's say from contract all the way through approval, 30 to 45 days should be pretty standard right now. It might be a little more, a little less, just depending on the type of property you're buying. Condos do have a separate approval that we need to make sure everything's good, especially if we're only looking at 3 to 5% down payments on condos.
Okay.
For conventional loans. But 30 to 45 days is pretty standard, I would say, and that's not too far different from a normal market. So we are prioritizing purchases, and we're setting those apart. They're not going through the same channels as our refinances are.
Okay.
And so even though there was a huge refinance boom 3 to 4 weeks ago when rates dropped, they got pretty low. We are prioritizing purchase, making sure that those have their own channel for underwriting, own channel for closing. Those will not get bogged down from a pipeline of refinances.
Okay, perfect. That's great to hear, because people might be looking at refinancing right now, but then they might feel like it's probably not a good time if everybody's trying to tidy up those loose ends, et cetera.
No,
So,
absolutely.
great point. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, looks like this next question might be a Jen question. How can I view properties if we are on lockdown? I'll tell you what I'm doing, but I'd love to hear if you have insight from other agents that you have been working with. I wouldn't presume that you're just working with me. So what I've been doing is a lot of virtual tours. If the listing agent was savvy enough or fast enough before we got put on lockdown to create a virtual tour, I'll be doing them that way. I ask them to either drive by the house, which we used to do several years ago. Remember, before we got into a seller's market, we would invite the buyers to maybe drive through the neighborhood to make sure that that neighborhood looked like it'd be a good fit for them. But, you know, once the inventory started getting tight, like you just couldn't do that because they were going so fast that you couldn't just drive by and then set the appointment. So we're definitely doing that anymore. But I'll tell you, actually something that I started seeing just before all of this coronavirus became a thing was buyers writing property contracts sight unseen. Like they were just looking at the pictures online and they were writing offers based on that. And that was indicative to how tight the market was. They just were like, I don't want to compete. I see the pictures and I like it. And you know, I'm not the first agent that's going to say this, so I don't feel like I'm letting big secrets out of the bag, but I would have buyers just say, well, we'll get out of it during inspections if that's not going to be a good fit for us. But some of the listing agents were pushing onto that and they were saying, well, we're going to give you a day or two to walk through it. And then if you don't like it, because we don't want to put it pending, active, et cetera. So those are some of the things that I'm seeing as far as, you know, how do we still quote unquote look at a property without really being able, but there are some, and you know, I'll be one of them, or I'll be honest, I am one of them, where if it's really important, like you're about to be homeless and you have to go and buy a house, then we'll put the protective measures in place. We'll put the gloves on, we'll put the mask on, we'll make sure that we have hand sanitizer with us wherever we go and we're wiping things down. Because there are some situations where people are gonna be homeless if we don't find them something to buy. So, and I know I could talk for hours about this. I just feel like there's some agents that are online saying, please don't work, please don't like list properties. But then there are people that have to have a place to go. Like, am I supposed to just sit on my couch like I am right now and be like, sorry, not my problem? Like, I am vested with every single client that I choose to work with. And I think that you are too. So when I choose to work with somebody, whatever their goal is, whether it's to buy or sell or invest, like I really and truly take that on as my own personal goal also. So I can't just sit back and be like, it's not convenient for me right now to help you buy a house. Like, I just figure out a way, right? Improvise, adapt, and overcome, the little Marine Corps motto there. So I don't know. That's what I'm doing. What are you seeing with other agents?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same, a lot of virtual tours. I'm seeing agents that are getting ready to list properties, just talking about them or promoting them more on social, more on all of the bases that they can. And I have seen some open house stuff where they are scheduling open houses in sections of every hour on the hour that somebody can reserve a spot, so there's not multiple people going through. That it's basically you sign a time slot and you've got 15, or maybe it's every half hour, but they'll sign a time slot and then the agent will come through, wipe everything down, and let somebody else go through. Don't touch any surfaces kind of thing, but hey, you can see the house by yourself. It's almost a private showing, but there might be a 4-hour window where you can go through and they can maybe get 4 to 8 families through to see those houses.
Nice.
In a more contained space than what you would with a traditional open house where you have it open for an hour or 2 hours and everybody can come through. So I'm hearing some of that. I've only seen it on a couple things, but that might become more of a new norm over the next couple of weeks, just to have a sample showing where, hey, everything's clean. We got it clean and spotless and sanitized. Let's get everybody through. Then we can have it, re-sanitized between showings and knock everybody out in a small window.
Yeah. I saw something came through on the MLS, like some messaging came through to us agents from the MLS that basically said that every listing right now is not allowed to have overlapping showings. You know how, well, maybe you don't see it from your end, but from our end, we have the ability of either saying that we will or will not permit overlapping showings, and they've come down and specifically said right now that no one can have an overlapping showing just because of the sanitary and the health aspect of it. So it's like, I'm glad to see that everyone's finally taking this seriously. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, cool. I really am excited about your answer on this one. You ready?
Well, let's go for it.
What advice would you give to a buyer in today's environment?
The market's shifting a little bit. If we were to backtrack a month, it was 100% a seller's market. And as you were alluding to, buyers writing contracts sight unseen sometimes just because they needed to get an offer in because there might be 10 other offers per se. Not that it's still not an aggressive market. We're seeing right price homes in good markets still go quickly. April is going to be looks to be a great month as far as buyers are shaping up right now, or new sales. I'm not sure how that's going to translate into May. A lot of these were from before a lot of the concerns and a lot of the build-up had happened and shutdowns and lockdowns. So, but as a buyer, to position yourself, one, make sure you do have stable employment and stable job right now. So as long as you're there, talk to your lender, talk to me, talk to Jenn or whoever else you might trust. Just to make sure you're comfortable with what you're qualified for. I talk to a lot of people that they might qualify for 200, 250,000, and they hear that number, but they don't associate that with the monthly payment.
Right.
And then once they hear the monthly payments, they're like, whoa, that's way more than my budget. Why did the bank approve me for so much? And the reason is we don't look at lifestyle, we look at minimum qualifications. And if you eat out every night, or if your lifestyle takes into account other things that we're not accounting for, so we want to make sure you're comfortable with your budget. So I say prepare yourself that way. Kind of, this is going back to the basics, but otherwise, be close with your agent and talk about what your goals are and how you want to get in there. But if you're stable on your employment, you're not worried about your job or industry going away, and you either have your down payment figured out or you know where it's coming from, or you want to talk about down payment assistance options, those are still available right now.
Nice.
Let's get pre-approved and let's take the next steps from there. But I wouldn't wait because as the market starts to turn around and as we start to get through this, I think we're going to see it turn 100% back to a seller's market again. And now might be a great time to get a good, maybe not a good deal, but it might be the perfect time to find the house you're looking for. And I think it's a great time to make a move for a buyer.
Yeah.
And there's less buyers on the market. It's time to get your offer.
Yeah. I don't want to speak for you, Geoff, but I think that you would agree with me if I
You lagged on me just a little bit. What'd you say, Jenn?
I said, I don't want to speak for you, but I think I know you well enough to say that you and I both would be in agreement. Like, if it's the right time for you as a buyer to go out right now, we're not advocating that anyone go out unless it's the right time for them, because we understand that everyone has to make the choice that's best for them right now.
And there's enough safety precautions out there that I think if you take the right safety, we're still holding closings. We're not having buyers and sellers at the table at the same time. I think that might be one of the coming questions, but we are still holding closings. People are still going to the bank. A lot of people are still going to the grocery store. Life's going to continue in some regard. We just need to be more careful and cautious about how we're doing it. We're washing our hands more. We have the sanitizer around. I've heard of some people having their house set up when they walk in, they have like a decontamination zone where they take the clothes off or whatever they were wearing out, and then they'll go and they'll change in other clothes. I'm not doing that in my house, but I've heard of people. So but everybody's doing it to whatever their comfort level is. In fact, I had a refinance closing at the office this morning, and I wasn't here when it started, but I saw them walking out. The wife had come in, they had their kids in the car, and they kind of changed, but the husband came out. He had signed with gloves on, and he took them off and threw them away as soon as he had walked outside. I'm fine with everybody at whatever level they're at. You can still see houses at that level where you start out online and you start to see, and as you do the virtual tours and look at the photos,
Yeah.
this might actually streamline the process. Instead of somebody wanting to see 20 houses,
Yeah.
maybe they see 2 and they're like, hey, I'm ready. and that will make the real buyers come out of the woodwork and not the window shoppers.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the people that are out right now, as professionals, we should really regard them as serious clients, not somebody who's just looking for something to do on a Sunday and the open house got canceled and they just suddenly wanted to keep walking through it. Yeah, I agree with you totally on that. Good. Those are all great points, Geoff. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I think to piggyback on that, the question again being, what advice would we give to a buyer in today's environment? Like everything that you just said, like you have to make sure that you really want a house right now, because to get a realtor to come out and show you a house right now is a really big deal. Most of us are, well, I don't want to presume to say that we have families that we're stepping away from, whether it's a dog family or a kid family or just a significant other. So to ask us to step out is kind of a big deal, because we're putting ourselves just as much jeopardy as you're putting yourself in to go out and to look at these houses. And I need to know that you're serious. I had somebody earlier this week who wanted to just take a look at one of my listings. And I said, well, I really need you to be pre-approved. I mean, that's really my rule regardless. And it has been since day one of me being in business. But I said, especially in this environment, I'm not stepping outside my house to show anybody any houses. I really don't care who you are, unless I know that you can demonstrate to me how you're going to pay for it, whether it's cash money in the bank or you can show me a pre-approval letter from a lender. So I think that that's definitely super important in today's environment for sure.
No, 100%.
Cool. All right. Last one. And you actually kind of prefaced this just a few moments ago when you were answering that other question. We're going to talk about closings for a second. So what about signing the papers at a closing table? Can buyers and sellers stay the 6 feet away from each other as recommended by Governor DeWine, or how is that being handled right now from your perspective?
What I'm seeing a lot of time is buyers sign first and then sellers come in and sign after. And so they're not at the same closing table. One thing we're leveraging as much as possible is we have a guaranteed rate, and a lot of the companies do. It's not specific to us, but we do have electronic disclosures or electronic signatures allowed on just about anything that does not require a notary signature from a lender package.
Okay.
So while a lot of packages might have anywhere from 30 to 40 signatures needed at a regular closing, we can a lot of times reduce that to maybe 8 to 12, depending on the type of transaction. That actually need wet signed at closing, so it's going to be a paper signature. So we can minimize the time, take advantage of the tech tools that we and the other banks are using right now, and help to streamline so it just reduces the amount of time that you're in front of somebody. We're not offering full electronic closings on purchases at this time. I believe that we might be unrolling some of that over the next week or so. E-notes and e-mortgages are something that some states have adapted to. Ohio is actually pretty tech savvy compared to Kentucky and Indiana surrounding us, so we got the leg up on that. We are utilizing as much of it as possible. But yeah, there's some great tools out there. We'll minimize it. We take the safety precautions. I know it's something small, but every client or every title company has a ton of pens, right?
Yeah.
They don't give them back anymore. If you sign with the pen, that's yours. You get to take it home. So you buy a house, you get a pen. I've noticed that lately where they're not trading those back and forth. You do kind of have your safe space instead of like we talked about a little offline. Instead of having agents and loan officer and making it a party and a celebration at closing, it's a much smaller experience. So it might not have the same feel, but you have the same end result. So you still have the house and everything at the end. But instead of us being maybe 8 people in a room, it might be 2 to 3. So you can keep your distance. Not everyone's on top of each other. You can slide the paper across the table, sign it real fast. I haven't seen if the title companies are actually providing gloves or if that's something, but if somebody wants it, I'm sure that's accommodative. Well, like you said, all the safety precautions are being handled so that you can keep that distance, feel safe.
I'll tell you from our perspective, some of the listings that I had go active on the market last week were asking for gloves and or hand sanitizer. And so we went to order some, but there was like a 2-week backlog on getting boxes of gloves in. So maybe that's the holdup. If a title company doesn't have any, maybe they're just waiting on Amazon or whoever to deliver them. I don't know.
It could be. Who knows?
I don't know. Well, those are the questions that I've had posed to me several times over the past couple of days. And so I appreciate you just taking the time today to kind of provide a little clarity and guidance and just leadership so people can understand that there's nothing to freak out about, that we're doing the best that we can in this environment, but we can still absolutely help people with buying and selling of their real estate. So thank you so much for helping, Geoff. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I really appreciate you having me on and letting me to add some.
Absolutely. Anytime. It was good to see you, huh?
Yeah, you too.
All right. Take care, Geoff.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Bye. Sweet. Time out. That's awesome. Thank you so much. That was really good.
I think it went well. I love that.
I do too. I noticed a lag on my end as far as hearing you. It felt like there's a little bit of an echo. Did you hear that on my end also?
No, and I'm guessing the echo is more because of the room that I'm in. So but I didn't have a lag from what I could see. There was a lag one time on your side where you froze on me for a second when you were in the middle of a question. So I don't know if when you go to re-record and play back, if that will actually be there or if it won't. I'm guessing we probably kept that to about 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look and see when we exit here what that looks like. Honestly, though, I feel like because this is not really business as usual, even though we're trying to be as business as usual, I kind of feel like it being a little scratchy is okay, because that just shows that we're willing to keep persevering regardless of the circumstances to make sure that we're getting the right information in front of our people.
No, I 100% agree. I'm all about just getting it out there, and I'd rather send something out than edit it for the next 6 days and try to get it better.
Yeah, for sure. Because in the next 6 days, everything that we just said is going to be irrelevant anyway.
We'll have to do another one next Wednesday.
That would be fun. Yeah. That'd be fun. All right.
I'm all for it. If you want to keep doing it, just keep me posted, and we can. I try to send rate updates. The rate environment's been crazy. I don't know if you've seen any of that stuff going on, but we have seen, not this week, but last week, we saw rates moving like 0.5 to 0.75% in one day. We're usually used to seeing it. If somebody was quoted, let's say they were quoted 3.5 the week before, and they're thinking about buying that house, and they're like, okay, I'm anticipating my payment to be $1,000 a month, and we're going to get a 3.5% rate, and then they go and they do they do a negotiation, and they get under contract, and they come back and like, hey, rates are 4.25. Like, whoa, that's not what I was expecting, and my payment was $1,000, and now it's $1,150, and I can't afford that $150.
Yeah, every month.
That's a volatile market. And so it's just talking to that buyer. But anyway, we can talk about that later.
No, that's
or
okay.
I can just keep it.
It's high school who wants stuff.
Hey, no, perfect time.
Yep. Thanks, Jeff.
But yeah, let me know how that turns out, and I'll look forward to seeing you posted.
Okay, perfect.
All right.
I'll see you soon.
Okay, see you, Jen. Bye.
Bye.